"Sir," said he, "up to this time, and it is now more than 24 years since I received the direction of this house from my father, who had himself conducted it for 35 years, never has anything bearing the signature of Morrel and Son been dishonored." "I know that," replied the Englishman, "but as a man of honor should answer another, tell me fairly, shall you pay these with the same punctuality?" Morrel shuddered and looked at the man, who spoke with more assurance than he had hitherto shown. "To questions frankly put," said he, "a straightforward answer should be given. Yes, I shall pay, if, as I hope, my vessel arrives safely, for its arrival will again procure me the credit which the numerous accidents, of which I had been the victim, have deprived me. But if the Pharaon should be lost, and this resource shall be gone—" The poor man's eyes filled with tears. "Well," said the other, "if this last resource fail you—" "Well," returned Morrel, "it is a cruel thing to be forced to say, but, already used to misfortune, I must habituate myself to shame. I fear I shall be forced to suspend payment." "Have you no friends who could assist you?" Morrel smiled mournfully. "In business, sir," said he, "one has no friends, only correspondents." "It is true," murmured the Englishman. "Then you have but one hope." "But one." "The last?" "The last. So that if this fail, I am ruined, completely ruined. As I was on my way here, a vessel was coming into port." "I know it, sir. A young man who still adheres to my fallen fortunes passes a part of his time in a belvedere at the top of the house, in hopes of being the first to announce good news to me. He has informed me of the arrival of this ship." We talk a lot about suspense on this show. I talk a lot about suspense on this show. And while Dumas is pulling that out here in this passage, hinging everything on the arrival of the Pharaon for Morel's well-being, there's something else at play here. I think suspense is a little too flat to describe what's going on here. This is more the bearing of a man's soul, the crushing feeling of the weight of responsibility, of honor, of keeping your promises, dignity, all of these things weighing so heavily on the head of Morel, not only for himself, but to keep his family aloft, to keep his employees in business, but also generationally, the reputation of the Morel name. We remember back in those early chapters, Morel spoke with pride about his father and how his involvement in the Napoleonic Army was something he took great pride in. So this is more than suspense. It's bearing witness to the degradation of a man's soul. And I say that not to be flowery with my speech, but to really show the characteristics that are emerging from Morel here, because he's bearing the weight of all of that with as much honor as he can muster. None of it is lost on him, and he faces it head on with honesty. You know, he's not making excuses. He's not justifying anything. He is looking at the situation honestly. He's acknowledging that bad luck has befallen him, but he's not trying to make the situation into something it isn't. He's not making himself into a victim. He's not deluding himself into thinking he has more than he does, or that luck will be on his side to change things. And this is an interesting comparison to Caderousse, who, in my estimation at least, was trying to play that victim card a little bit. Yes, I mean, he was in destitution, but he had this, like, universe is against me sort of vibe to him. Oh, I'm such a good man, and only bad things happen to good men. You know, that sort of thing. Rather than facing his situation honestly the way Morel is doing. And Dante here is, I don't know that he's even trying to eke out the story or the character of Morel the way that he did with Caderousse, and maybe he had to with Caderousse, due to the nature of his character. You know, Dante isn't flaunting a diamond in front of Morel's eyes here. He hasn't even done anything except say, hey, I'm here because you owe my firm money. But he hasn't even done that in a way that, like, threatens Morel, nor that, not that he would, but he's really just presented the situation and he's asked very simple questions to Morrel, giving him every opportunity to give excuse, to give explanation, and Morrel is just like, nope, the situation is what it is, and I accept that, and my fate hinges on the arrival of the Pharaon. So, we've got a couple things that we have to look forward to here. What is Dante going to do with Morrel? And what will happen when the Pharaon comes back into port? A couple of unanswered questions that I guess maybe we will hopefully answer by the end of this chapter. So join me here tomorrow as we just continue forward. We are now at the halfway point of chapter 29. So until tomorrow, you know where to find me, right here. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.